Welcome to Nampa, where dreams can grow. Matt and Tyler on the show. Welcome to Nampa, hear the beat. Join the podcast, take your seat.
All right, welcome everybody back to the Nampa School District Podcast. This is episode 9, and we're excited to be back. It's been a bit of a hiatus, Matt, with beginning of the school year, everything that comes along with it. So we're excited to get back into the rhythm, the routine, whatever we want to say it. So, Matt, how are you doing today?
Oh, my gosh. It has been quite a while since we've sat down and done one of these babies here, and I'm very excited to be back doing the podcast. Feeling great. Almost awake. And, yeah, I'm excited. And we got some awesome guests today, so even better.
Even better. We have 2 guests with us today, and it is, before we get into that, it's October 1st, which I cannot believe.
Right?
Like
October.
Last I knew it was September, and then Green Day woke up and, wake me up when September ends. So here we go. But with us today, we do have Steve LaBau, the Director of Secondary Education, and Scott Knopp, the Director of Elementary Education. So welcome, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Hey, first, how about a shout out for your guys' intro ditty there? Nice job. You guys spent some time orchestrating, obviously, and put some lyrics together. Wow, impressive.
Not very much time went into that.
Yeah. AI, little
AI
help.
does some great things there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catchy.
It's pretty good. Yeah. So thank you guys, of course, for being here. And first thing we want to do for those around the city, or I should say world, because we have a worldwide audience, I can only assume. Why don't you guys just tell us a little bit more about yourselves?
Well, appreciate that and the opportunity to meet with you guys a little bit this morning. I've been in Nampa. This is my 31st year.
And this is Steve LaBau talking, by the way.
Yeah. 31 years here in Nampa School District. Started at our beloved Central Elementary when it was an all 6th grade school. Not a good idea and probably not something we'll replicate here in Nampa. But spent a year there, several years at Greenhurst teaching, then moved up and spent a lot of time in the middle school world as a vice principal. Then on to Sunny Ridge. Great experience at Sunny Ridge for a few years until that closed. And then on to Lake Ridge, the Lake Ridge Elementary. Just need to make that statement.
An homage to like the U.
Way to slide that in there.
Yeah.
Steve and I used to have a little friendly competition when we were both elementary principals. So he still does not avoid the opportunity to bring that up just a little bit now and then.
Thanks for reminding me of that. The interesting thing is I didn't know that we had a competition, but apparently Scott did.
Glad we restarted this podcast going on. Nice. So Lake Ridge to
Executive Director of Secondary Education.
There it is.
Yeah, good times. Starting my 5th year here and really enjoying working with our secondary schools.
Great.
Yeah. All
right. And Scott.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm like Steve. I'm an old timer. I'm not going to do the math. I rolled into Nampa in January of 1996. I know that. I was at Nampa High School for quite some time. I think close to 15 years. Wore a lot of hats. Teacher, coach, dean, taught all, different kinds of stuff. I believe it was the fall of 2013. Went to Willow Creek Elementary as the principal there. Spent just shy of a decade, and then wandered into the district office a few years ago. Wore the curriculum and instruction director hat for the first year, and then this is my 2nd year overseeing our elementary schools. So seen a lot happen in the Nampa School District. When I first rolled in, we could not build schools fast enough. This town was blowing up, and our school population was blowing up. And then, for those that know the history of the Nampa School District, we've had a lot of good times. We've had some challenging times, and kind of been here and rode the wave the whole way through. So, I don't know if we're an encyclopedia of the Nampa School District quite. I don't know if we've quite been here that long, but certainly been around for quite some time and wore a lot of different hats. So, and enjoyed every one of them. Yeah, it's been a great ride.
So one of the things that I personally enjoy about my position is getting to know people. And prior to this job, I didn't know you, Steve, I'll be honest. And Scott, I barely kind of knew you as principal at Willow Creek. And since getting to know you guys, I'm like, holy cow, we got to get you guys out there more, because you guys got a story to tell and a lot of experience that people can learn from. And, I I go back to, and this is a funny thing. I wish I had a picture of your office. Walking in, there's a big bear on the wall. I'm like, whose office is this? And I see Steve sitting there. I'm like, all right, here we go.
I got to ask you really quick, as a sports fan, Scott, you used to coach.
Yeah.
What do you coach?
Yeah. So I spent 20 years coaching high school baseball. I started in Moscow High School and then was in Nampa for 15 years. And then also spent some time coaching football at Nampa as well. Didn't quite do that as long as I did baseball. But between high school baseball and Legion baseball here in Nampa, yeah, spent a lot of time at Rodeo Park. Not only coaching baseball, but for anybody that knows the life of a high school baseball coach, you are also the field manicurist, the irrigation fixer, the dirt raker and hauler. Yeah, you spent a lot of time taking care of your yard. So enjoyed that. Have ran across and been able to work with a lot of former players in the position of parents in my new roles, and that's always neat to see as those young men grow into dads and husbands and community members. And yeah, it's kind of a cool story. Yeah, so
very cool.
Enjoyed my time coaching.
All right. So for you both, obviously, as directors of both secondary and elementary education, big changes, and of course, I'm relatively new now, still to the district and education in general. Big switch over the summer, I guess you can say, from the block schedule to trimester or tri-6, as it's called, as well as a 4-day school week. So, in your own words, how would you say this has impacted the start of the year? Obviously, big impacts, but how would you say everything's been going?
Change is an exciting thing, Matt. And with change, sometimes it doesn't go as smoothly as we would like it to go. But I would say overall, the move to the Tri-6 has been very well received. A lot of the feedback that we're getting from students and from staff, frankly, is that teachers really enjoy seeing their kids every single day. So it's been a great change. And it's really opened some doors, particularly within the CTE realm. Yeah. We have students that have the opportunity now to complete pathways even in their senior year because of the opportunities with the 18 options that exist in a Tri-6 as compared to the 16 that they had previously.
Gotcha. And just really quick, just for our viewers, that was Steve talking about the secondary side. So now Scott with the elementary side.
Yeah, obviously with the elementary, the Tri-6 doesn't impact us at all, but certainly the 4-day. So most of the feedback we're getting very positive on the 4-day move. Having a few Fridays to catch your breath is good. Obviously, we've only had 2 staff Fridays, but as the year goes on and those begin to accumulate, the benefit of those and how to organize and make sure those are impactful to the best of our ability will continue to grow. So I think as we see the benefit of those Fridays from an instructional standpoint, that'll also just boost people's enthusiasm and also just make us more capable in working in that new model. But by and large, positive feedback. Now, obviously, like Steve said, a few challenges, especially from an instructional standpoint, just learning how to unit plan and weekly plan and how to stretch your day out and be impactful throughout the whole day and keep the kids engaged, right? So there's obviously some new skill sets that we have to learn as we go, but it sounds like it's going really well. And the good thing is we're not completely recreating the wheel here.
Yeah.
There's some similar districts that kind of give us a roadmap and a skeletal plan of what this looks like from an instructional standpoint. So then we just get to tweak and polish it and make it our own. So good stuff.
Now going back to the Tri-6 part, mainly secondary, and with your experience in secondary, you can kind of add to this too. We've been on a block schedule for I don't even know how many years. I remember when I was teaching over at Centennial and hearing about the block schedule, I'm like, what? Why are we doing that? Because I grew up on a Tri-6 up in Washington, and the thought of seeing my kids one day and then have to wait a day and see them basically that every other day thing. As a teacher, I'm like, I'm going to have to spend half that period just reviewing everything that we went over. So, you mentioned seeing your kids every single day, which me as a teacher, I'm like, that's perfect. Why didn't we ever do that to start with? But have you seen or hearing, and then your experience, as a high school teacher and all that,
you bet.
Do you think it makes a huge difference not having to review at the beginning of every period I mean, you probably have to review still a little bit, but not as much as you would if you missed a day in between.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Scott, what do you think from your lens as a high school teacher?
We talked about the old dog's been around a while. Like I got to go through a few schedule changes back in the day, and I know what originally triggered playing around with schedules was back when we opened Skyview in the fall in '96, I believe it was. We also brought freshmen to the high school for the first time, so that the schedule they had at that time had a 0 hour and had a post hour, a late hour, whatever you want to call it. And it worked well because a lot of students were able to drive. You figure almost all your juniors back then and seniors had the ability to drive, and a lot of your sophomores were gaining that ability. When you all of a sudden load all your freshmen, all of a sudden half your high school population's really not available to take those two classes. So then it kind of overloads your schedule in certain periods and in the middle of the day, and it just gets a little bit tough. So then combine the fact that we were also starting to try to grow our CTE programs outside of just the traditional ag, welding, auto body, and auto mechanics. They just needed to find a schedule that was going to provide more opportunities for students and could happen within the actual school day and not be happening on both ends in the AM and the PM. So that was kind of the journey. We went through a couple schedules before we landed on the block. And then it was definitely a huge shift. And going to a block where you weren't seeing your kids every day, you had your kids for close to 90 minutes. It took a while to kind of get in the flow and the rhythm, but you do what you got to do, and then we did. And then I think certain subjects tailor better to block schedule and seeing kids every other day. Certain subjects it's a little more challenging because you are probably leveraging students' motivation to be autonomous, to get some learning done when they're not in front of you. And for some subjects, that's a little bit more challenging. So positives and drawbacks for every schedule. There's no perfect schedule. If there was, everybody in the country would be on it, right? But certainly seeing kids every day in some of these subjects, I think, is definitely a positive change.
Now, and Steve, along with that, parents were very scared to switch to that Tri-6. I saw a lot of comments of, why are they doing this? They don't know what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. What are you hearing now?
Well, Tyler, I think that's a great point. I think there still are some reservations, but the beauty also of the Tri-6 is the number of entry points that it gives to kids. Kids can come in at that trimester, and in essence, they're picking up a full semester credit for that trimester period. So I think it's going really well, and but it's just a change in getting used to our new normal.
The new normal, the great phrase that came out of COVID.
Yeah.
And, speaking of getting out of COVID, one thing that Dr. Russell I want to say this last board meeting, we talked about the student achievement and how we're finally back on that upward swing. And it's not, just like, oh, it is what it is. Like we're excited about where our students are going, what the data is showing. So over the past couple of years, we've seen that upward swing. What do you think really attributes to that, and where are we going with it next?
Well, I'd be happy to take a stab at that. We saw some really great results, especially at our high school level in ELA. We saw growth in math as well, but ELA was up significantly. And I think one of the things that we've done is we've become more intentional about helping our students to be aware of what it is they need to know and be able to do, and how they're going to show evidence of that. Once again, the Tri-6 supports that, particularly in the area of ELA and math, where we're seeing kids every single day. That block schedule worked really nice for CTE classes, bigger chunks of time for getting out in the shop and doing projects and things like that. But we've been able to address that with some double blocking of classes and found a way to make that work. And we think we're going to find the sweet spot. But I think the thing around assessment is being intentional about understanding what the assessments are asking and helping kids to be prepared to answer those questions. It has a lot to do with close reading and reading deep and informational text. And this is something that's new for some of our teachers, and becoming really intentional in how our instruction aligns with assessment.
Now, a lot of people are going to say that's teaching to the test. But in reality, you kind of have to teach the test. Now, you can't just teach the exact test because that would be considered cheating, but you need to teach in a way and expose the kids to the question types, the scenarios. And that's kind of what I hear. And something that I know that you guys did at Willow Creek a lot was, let's look at the ISAT and really dive into what types of questions is the ISAT going to ask? What format are they going to be? What's the blueprint kind of a thing? And so at secondary level, it sounds like you guys are diving into that and you're seeing success. At the elementary level, I know that's been going on for, quite a while as well. Am I kind of paraphrasing that in the right way, or did I just completely butcher that?
No, you're on, and elementary is slightly different because K-12 is really focused on that foundational piece, right? So it looks slightly different because of the progressive building blocks that have to take place, and they're very tightly sequenced, right? So you're not necessarily just backwards planning off a particular standard or group of learning skills. But yeah, being intentional and targeted and just understand where it is we're trying to get our students is important, right? We use the word clarity. And I think when as a district, we have clarity around where we're trying to get to, as a staff and as our instructors have clarity of where they're trying to get their students to and what does that actually look like in a student product type sense, eventually that trickles down and the students become clear as well where they're trying to get to. Everybody's got the same picture, so to speak. When you do that, you just build a lot of familiarity around what the learning is. And then that, I think that just naturally is going to produce, better results, better learning environment. It's, everybody's on the same page, so to speak. And I'll jump up another level as well that I think what helps or has helped and is going to help is also here at the district level. We've very much stayed on point. It's easy to fall into think tank mode here in this office and think about what's next. And not realizing that, in our schools and at the ground level, consistency is really important. So being able to lay out a vision, what it is we're trying to get done, and then stay on point for a while. And when I say a while, I mean years, right? Not for 6 months, not for 2 years. Like we're talking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. So I think being able to stay focused over the last few years on what the vision is and what it is we're trying to get done builds that clarity as well, just throughout the whole district. And we begin to gain common vocabulary, common terms, common expectations, and as that just remains consistent, you're just going to get more comfortable. And when you're comfortable, you're better.
Well, and with that, I think, I remember back in my teaching days, it's like, okay, this year we're going to do this. Next year we're going to do this. And us as teachers, like, hey, what's next? Like, we don't really ever scratch any deeper than the surface. And one thing I heard going into my second year up here, year first in elementary, but second up here as well, is at one of the beginning admin retreats. I can't remember if it was you or if it was Dr. Russell that said this. He said, let's get out our HRS books, high reliability schools. And he goes, we're going to do something different. We're going to do the exact same book as admin, as a district, same focus, going to what you're just talking about. And I remember sitting back and like, well, there's an approach I haven't heard before, doing the same thing. And then it was going to what you're saying about we need to dive deeper. We need to get better understanding of it. And I think now we're starting to see the fruits of that labor and where we're going, because I don't see us going away from the HRS model. I think it's fantastic. I wouldn't even say model, maybe the focus, and just growing deeper and adding to it. So kind of go with that. What are your thoughts on that?
Tyler, you're spot on. And for a number of people in our community, that the HRS model really comes out of business. And so we are trying to create a more highly reliable system in the way that we do things across the board. And that continuity and consistency is paying dividends. And I think initially when we started, there was some hesitation or reservation on the part of staff, maybe even leadership, where like, this too shall come to pass. But we are staying the course. It is very clear the direction that we're headed, and we're seeing great results.
So Director of Secondary Education, Director of Elementary Education. I want to know, what are your favorite schools? I'm just kidding. Don't even answer that. Let's go with jumping into more on you guys. It's the NFL season. I want to know, what are your favorite NFL teams? Who are your teams? Sorry, it's a massive hard right turn, but let's jump into that. Real quick.
I'll jump in. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Okay.
Have been since I was just a little kid. So it's always interesting to be a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Very interesting.
We tend to be decent every year, it seems like, but some years
For
we
a while.
actually are pretty good, and then other years, we get really disappointed. But high expectations, and they do seem to remain fairly competitive on a consistent basis. So it's fun and aggravating, like anybody that's a fan of a team and follows them. Yeah, some Sundays you're really excited, and some Sundays you wonder why you watch NFL. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Timo often Jalen hurts your feelings. How about you, Steve?
Matt, you're digging in the closet deep on this
Yeah.
question, and we're in a safe place, right? So,
Sure.
I guess going back history-wise, I've always been a Cowboy and Raider fan. Go figure.
Cowboy and
I
Raider
know.
fan. What?
I know it's hard to even admit it, but I'm in a safe space. So
Yeah,
You are.
give or take.
you are. People often ask, how does a Southern Idaho boy become an Eagles fan? But it
Yes.
really was the fact that I was just surrounded in elementary school by Cowboy fans, and I was like, I'm just not a follower. So I got to find something different to do here, and watched a random Philadelphia Eagle Cowboy game way back in the day, and I think Harold Carmichael or Mr. Quick or someone caught a touchdown pass and won the game, and I'm like, there you go. I got my team.
All right.
It's not the Cowboys. Yep. So
Oh, that's good. That's healthy. Sorry, Steve. And I should have mentioned before that because, I should have mentioned before that. Is there anything else you guys wanted to mention about of course, massive changes throughout before the school year, but things, at least to me, I'm still working my way into learning about all the admin side of education, basically coming from a completely different world. I'm very aware, obviously, of all the changes that were made, but it seems to me now things are going pretty smoothly. Everybody's adjusting, whether it's staff, teachers, students, parents. Everybody seems to be adjusting pretty well. Anything else you guys wanted to add on that end?
I think from a very macro view, that's true. I think maybe if you really get down in the trenches, it's still a little messy. But I always like to remind people, like what we do is messy because we work with humans, and humans are messy, right?
Sure.
There is no perfect magic bag of beans that just makes everything bliss every day, right? Like it's just not going to happen. So I do think structurally the changes we're evolving and working, and it will become fairly normal and comfortable, and we'll be used to it. But also don't want to gloss it too much. Yes, we also understand there's challenges on the day-to-day basis and things we got to get better at and continue to work at. But that'll always be present in education because, like I said, it's just that's what we do, right? But very, very pleased at this point with the commitment, the willing to persevere, and just continue to grind it out that our staff and our buildings and our leaders and our students have. When you get really deep down, Nampa is a blue-collar community, and one of the things I've always appreciated about working with families and students and the people in Nampa is hard work doesn't scare them away, and you don't always find that everywhere. So that still is in Nampa. I still see it in our folks. I see it in our students. I see it in our families, and we'll continue to take on whatever challenges show up next and do our best to overcome them.
Matt, one of the things that another caveat, we talked about the 4-day student contact week, but we haven't really delved into that too deeply. It's kind of a perfect storm of things coming together in order to make that Tri-6 work. The Tri-6, in order to make that work, we really did need a little longer student contact day because we bus students every period of the day between our high schools. So slightly longer day made that feasible, that we could make that work. And then with that, I think it also really speaks to the commitment that Nampa School District has to our employees in both retaining and quite frankly, attracting staff to the district. And the 4-day student contact week has clearly done that. We've seen that in terms of our hiring. We had struggled in previous years to hire. This year looks very different on that 4-day student contact week.
Gotcha.
Yeah, one thing that I do want to say that I don't think we can say enough through through all the changes is just a thank you to the community, our staff, our parents. You know, yes, it was rocky. It's going to be rocky, but just their commitment to us, to their kids, has been huge. And, you know, just want to thank them and everybody really for their patience. And because for me, like, I'm in the thick of it. I see it all, but I'm really excited for what's next, what's really going to start blossoming from this. So to kind of wrap this up, what is next? What's next for secondary? What's next for elementary? Besides the obvious of we're just going to keep on trucking kind of a thing.
Well, I think what I would hit on is also going back and talking about the commitment that our community has made to our facilities. And we saw really great evidence of that with our stadiums and the work that we've done in our stadiums, and the opportunities that's providing to not only our athletes, but our activities folks, marching bands and other folks who are using those fields and using them safely. And here's the thing, like when I was doing my training to become a principal, we talked about Giuliani's broken window theory, and it's really true. Like if you build it, if you make something beautiful, it pays off in huge dividends. The community is proud of it. The staff is proud of it. Kids are proud of it, and they're willing to put in their best effort. And so I think our continued investment in our facilities pays huge dividends, not only for our community and for our patrons.
Well, and with that, before we get to you, Scott, we had a school, West Jefferson High School, over this past weekend that actually we hosted for, I think, their football game. I don't know who they were playing, but I didn't even know it was happening until I got a social media message saying, hey, make sure to thank your admin, thank Nampa High for hosting us and allowing us to use their field. Now we have that ability. Now people want to come to us for our facilities. And, being out there Friday nights, it's great atmospheres at all three schools. Nobody's complaining that I hear anyway, but everybody's just like, this is amazing. So glad that our kids have this opportunity. Our cheer, our dance, our bands, they're loving it. And it goes to show, like you're saying, build them something they're proud of, and everybody's going to be happy.
And Tyler, the thing is, those are really visible. Like people see those. What the community may not see is the quality of our CTE facilities and the type of equipment that our kids are actually being trained on how to use. And so maybe episode 10 is an invite to our CTE director, Cindy Arnson, to come in and highlight all of the programs available through CTE.
Yeah. And kind of on that note, I'm going to be working with Cindy soon to get out and with a camera and take a bunch of video of all the awesome facilities you were talking about. So those will definitely be highlighted because I have visited with her before, and some of the things over there are just simply fantastic, such as an actual ambulance that's there that, correct me if I'm wrong, but moves around. So, and dental chairs and a whole auto shop. And it's really amazing out there. So you're absolutely right. And those will definitely be highlighted. Good stuff over there.
And Scott, what's next for elementary?
Well, I think not only elementary, but probably secondary too. I'll chime in and say what next is greatness. There we go. Like that, the changes and the things we're doing foundationally over the last few years were intentional, right? And intentional to put us in a position where we felt like we can take a step forward and truly become something that everybody can stand up and take notice of in regards to the level of success and achievement. So what's next is to get that done. That everything we've been going through, it was not just to randomly go through a bunch of changes, right? Like everything was very strategic with all of our investments, whether it's investment into human capital, investment into our facilities, investment into our plan, our vision. Like all those investments at some point are supposed to pay off, right? So we're kind of entering that phase now where the payoff is what's next. So I'm expecting greatness, Tyler. That's what I'm expecting.
I mean, we can only do where our leaders take us, and we can only do so good. But it's that illusion of what's next that's fun, and I do think we're going to get there. We're going to be at the top of things. The things that I see us doing, I see other school districts try to mimic, and Some work, some don't. But I'm like, hey, that was our idea. Like, way to jump on. And, you know, what's the old phrase? The greatest form of flattery is mimicry or whatever.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know.
No,
Something
yeah.
like that. And,
Yeah.
and I want to
Imitation.
Imitation. There we
I
go.
want to jump in and clarify, hopefully, what Tyler's saying. When you say leaders, you're talking about our leaders at the building level.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. I want everybody so our team of building level leaders right now, and leaders means principals, vice principals, deans, instructional coach, teacher leaders. Like the leadership we have going on our campuses right now is impressive and definitely in really good shape. I'm really proud and confident that our schools are in great hands.
With terrific community partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
If there's anything I've seen since I'm still technically new guy, I guess you can say, and of course not coming from an education background, but the things that I've seen that I don't think most people see is the true dedication behind the scenes. If there is a plan in place, or I should say if there's any type of problem or something that needs to be addressed, people behind the scenes get together quickly and say, how is this going to be remedied? How can we make this better? There's always plans going on, and it's always beneficial for the kids in the end. And it's been very amazing to see. And you guys are a big part of that. So thanks for everything you both do.
You bet. I just stay out of the way.
Yeah.
No, and with that, again, you just want to thank everybody for tuning in. This episode 9 of the Nampa School District Podcast. Make sure to subscribe on wherever you listen, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, I think. Yeah, this goes on YouTube. Yeah, and Facebook, obviously. But we appreciate it. We appreciate the leadership. We appreciate the listeners and just everything that we're doing. So with that, Matt, any final thoughts before I play the outro music?
I was waiting for your random wild question at the end.
Oh, good. I'm glad you mentioned that because I did have one ready to go.
There it is. That's what we're waiting
So
for.
it is October now that we start. And let's say you're tailgating or camping, whatever you want it to be. What is your go-to homemade food?
Ooh.
Either tailgate, camping, hunting, whatever it's going to be.
Well, I've been pressing Scott on one of his favorites for a while, and one of these days I'm going to get an invite or an invitation to partake in his sausage. So,
Oh boy, Steve's
I'm putting the heavy pressure on.
bringing up the homemade sausage. Yeah, so
It's legendary.
apparently it is. Yeah. So and Steve answered for me. I guess our go-to this time of year is to break out some homemade German sausage or brats and have at. So nothing like homemade, right? When it's fresh.
Gotcha.
And hasn't gone through the processor. Yeah, it's good stuff. So, but that's probably where we go. Although Steve, we didn't need to get more people asking me about these sausages and waiting for invites. For those of you that know Mr. Channer over at Willow Creek, I think he's known me for a good 10, 12 years now, and he still has not got the invite. And I'm pretty sure he's fairly not happy with me over that.
Understandable.
Yeah. So Steve just added to the pile, I think. But anyway, maybe one of these years when I retire, I'll churn out just a few more, and then we'll invite everybody over.
So is this a deal where you're packing them up, you're hanging them, and
Yeah, so since we went down this path,
Yeah,
so,
we're there now.
My family does it, so it's a family gathering down at the folks' place once a year. We do usually between 80 to 100 pounds, depending on how much people want. So yeah, all the brothers and mom and dad, we get together. Been going on for generations.
Nice.
As a little kid, I was remembering running around with, my grandpa and all the aunts and uncles, and same thing. We'd once a year make a bunch of fresh sausage. So we grind it, we stuff it, we hang it, we smoke it, we freeze it. Yeah, it's the whole process. So
That's awesome.
and it's a good time. And yeah, the recipes come from like I said, decade. I think the actual German sausage recipe itself comes from the old country. So the folks that came over from Germany brought it with them, and the brat recipe we've tweaked just a little bit through the years with the younger generation. I don't know if beer brats were necessarily a thing back in the day, but we've messed with a little bit. But yeah, so it's a great family gathering. It's as much about the social aspect for our family as it is the production. But certainly the production, if people aren't real happy with me and they don't want to hang out with me and be my friend, I just kind of dangle that out there as the carrot. Saying,
Literally, dangle a
Knopp's
sausage.
going to watch some football and maybe cook up some of his sausages.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everybody shows up, right? Like, yeah, everybody wants to be your friend all of a sudden. So,
Tyler, I will throw in, and it's really the end of the season, but peach season is probably our go-to. And my wife makes fresh peach pie, which is excellent. And then a dessert that's called Peach Fat Lady, for what that's worth. But,
And what is that?
yeah, it's,
Do
just,
tell.
it's kind of a vanilla wafer crust, fresh peaches, and then whipped cream on top of it. It's delicious and seasonal thing, but right at the end of this season.
Cool. I think for my son, I mean, I love to grill. Of course, I'm trying to think of something that is off. I mean, I grill a good burger. I finally got really good at grilling chicken and keeping it, not drying it out or anything. But if there's anything I love making that's off the norm, I have a big old Blackstone flat top grill, and I make a pretty mean fried rice.
there we go.
Chicken or shrimp fried rice, and it's just a matter of knowing when to get that shrimp on. You got to do it late. Yeah. But I make a real good fried rice, and I don't do it too often, only when I know a good amount of people, like my family's visiting or something. I'll do that because it's rough to clean that flat top every time.
And it's hard to make one serving of fried rice, right? Like that. Like
No.
You get to mixing the ingredients. Yeah, you need to at least feed 4.
Yeah, no, I make a lot more than that because I eat a bunch too. So
No, my go-to, we just did it over the weekend and made a fresh smoked chili. And we use all fresh vegetables from Whistle Farms. It was the last veggie box.
good box.
And so I'll put it on the smoker. Then over top, I'll put a grate and I'll make a giant meatball. And then I put bacon over top of it, season it, and just let the drippings go into the chili. And as it cooks, and then it gets right when it's about an hour left, you crumble it all up, put it on, just crank the heat. Oh, it's to die for. It is amazing.
For those that can't see, Tyler's drooling right
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's take a cholesterol pill before and after that.
now. Take a deep breath,
It's
Tyler.
worth it. It's worth it.
Worth it. That's awesome. Good stuff.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, again for listening. This has been episode 9 of the Nampa School District Podcast, and we will see you guys all next time.